Um, Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about that AJAX. That is session 3.8. In 3.8 we'll learn what is JavaScript, the introduction part and the history. Okay. So first of all, JavaScript. Introducing JavaScript. So JavaScript was developed by a person named Brendan H, which was in a company Netscape. There was a Netscape browser popular at that time. So he was the person who developed the scripting language, that is JavaScript. Okay, he had developed the JavaScript basically in order to make the client-side HTML page much more interactive. Since HTML page was static and he wanted to make it dynamic, for that reason he has developed the code which can be used, the OOPS concept, the instantiation, the class methods in the scripting language itself. For that reason he has created the JavaScript. In his time there was a competitor with JavaScript known as Jscript, which had the same features, but there's a subtle difference between the Jscript and JavaScript. So the Jscript was appeared in 1996. It was used in Internet Explorer, and hence there was a competition with the JavaScript and the Jscript. So during those times AJAX was introduced in JavaScript that paved the way to making the JavaScript much more popular in the entire world. So basically JavaScript is like a client-side interface. Here is the client, here is the database. Whatever a client requests, it goes to the database, and hence if there is a database, if there is no data value, then they might throw an error or the result. So basically the JavaScript works between or towards the client side. For that reason it's a client-side scripting language. Moving on further, one more feature of JavaScript is ECMAScript. In ECMAScript we can use JavaScript using the shorthand notations. So that is the one of the many features in the JavaScript. So getting started to how to use JavaScript in HTML page. Basically you can see this is a HTML page. In order to use JavaScript, first of all we have to use the script language. This is the beginning of the tag, and we have to enclose the beginning and the end tag. This part is optional. If you exclude this, it will work, and if you include this, it will work. This is optional. This is the attribute, this is the value. It indicates that using a scripting language known as JavaScript. Okay, since we whatever functions, whatever classes you declare, you have to write in between these codes. This is the ending, this is the beginning, and this is the ending. So this is the output of this. There is no JavaScript code, just this is the output. This is the my first JavaScript example. It's coming here. Welcome to JavaScript. Okay, moving on further. Some points need to be focused. Document, history, and window. Here document represents the web page itself, since HTML is a static document. So whatever elements of the HTML, in order to be accessible by JavaScript, you have to use the keyword document, this one. And history, whether whichever pages you refer, which pages you navigate, that is the history for your web pages that you can access using JavaScript. XML request, XML which you have learned in AJAX, this can be interacted with the JavaScript. So that is the feature of JavaScript, that you can use AJAX as well as ECMAScript, which I explained earlier, that is shorthand notation for JavaScript. Moving on further, some points I have. Document, since I said you HTML is a document, so if you want to access the element or if you want to style the element, you have to use the dot operator, then followed by the properties. So BG is one kind of property where you apply the background color. Some of the properties are FG, foreground, last modified, title, hostname, app name. So basically you will learn all this in the coming slides and videos. The next part is handling events. So what is an event? Event is something that you trigger by doing some action. What? Click of the button, mouse hover, mouse up, mouse down, key up, key down. So that are the events, and on which event you want to call the function, you want to call multiple function, pass the parameter of the functions. So basically to demonstrate the example, before the example, I have the bunch of events here: on, about, on key press, on key up, on mouse down. So these are the event names, and on which event you want to trigger some action, you can do by selecting or choosing these events. For the demonstration purpose, suppose one more feature of JavaScript is that you can embed JavaScript in the HTML itself. So this is the complete JavaScript code. No need to write the script tag here and write the JavaScript. This is the one more feature of JavaScript, that you can embed in the HTML itself. So whenever I do the mouse down, that is on mouse down is what, since you can see this cursor, if I move here, this is mouse up. If I move left or right, it becomes mouse down. During mouse down, what should I do? There's an alert here, so this is triggering an event from this. So this is the complete JavaScript code which is embedded in the HTML. So the output of this is this. So you click the page is an alert that prompts an alert page. Okay, click this page. Moving on further, you can see this alert. This is a pop-up. So this can be invoked by using JavaScript. Moving on further, JavaScript functions. So you have learned what's a function. Function is a chunk of code. So we can have type of functions that function with one parameter, multiple parameters, optional parameters, and no parameters. The same functionality since we have you have used in C, C++, that can be used in JavaScript. That is a client-side scripting language. So to demonstrate the same, before that I have a simple HTML page with the script of the JavaScript and document on the right. Why document? Because since I said HTML is a static document, to access the elements of the JavaScript you use document.write. This is just making a HTML dynamically. You can see this is a HTML code. We can also make dynamic HTML. This is a dynamic. So how to call this in a function? First of all, the syntax to use a function name, and between the script tags, and you can ask, sir, how to call the function. I'll let you know in the next page. Before that, before calling the function, I have a form tag here, an input button. Suppose on the click of the button I want to call the function. So how to do that? This is a form tag of the HTML. This is an input tag, which is a button, and the value, click here, the name of the button. So in order to call a function, I'm attaching to an event. Which event? On click. Whenever I click this button, I have to call this function. So this is syntax on click. This on click event name you can find in the table here. On click, an element is clicked. So since it's a button, we obviously click it. Once we click it, we call the function. This function display. Click here. So the function name, empty parameters, and it's called, and whatever the function is inside here, it will be triggered. So this is the way we can call the function. The same what I explained is there in the statements here. So since I said you how to trigger this document, right, when you click on this, the flow goes here, and whatever is inside the this function, the code will be executed in this document of the right. You click the button, so this is generating a message. You click the button when we trigger this action. Moving on further, I want to demonstrate one more example. Suppose this is HTML and this is a function, and on click I'm calling the display the function. In case if I want to attach or I want to create an HTML dynamically, and I want to attach the HTML into an HTML. So how to do that? In order to do that, I have a div tag with an ID. Okay, and why I've used ID? Because by this ID we can access the HTML elements, that is this div, by using JavaScript. How? I'll just demonstrate in the further pages. You can see this document.getElement by ID. This is one of the you can call keywords in JavaScript. You can access HTML element by ID. You can access by ID, by class name, by the attribute name. Here for this demonstration purpose, I'm accessing by ID. Why ID? Because there's an ID here, and the ID name, it should come here. You can go for the single quote or double quote. Since you want to attach something here dynamically, dot in HTML. This is the keyword where it generates the HTML, whatever it might be, the words here, it might be the tags like this tags. Okay, so you can generate the dynamic HTML or just the static words. In order to make this as a HTML, you have to append dot in a HTML, and this will be triggered, and this statement will be attached to this ID. This ID is coming from here, so the value of this will come here. Okay, so the output is this. If you click this, you can see you click the save button, click the button, so the click the button is coming from this. So this is a demonstration of how to use the functions, the document.getElement ID, and making the dynamic into the static document. Moving on further, passing data to functions. Passing data in sense passing any parameter to the functions. Suppose if you have a message to be passed to the function, so how to do that? You can see in the previous example we are generating the message here. What in case if we want to generate the message here? So simple, just take a parameter here in the function definition, then whatever message you want to pass, you can pass it here, then this will go here, and hence the code will be same as compared to the first. To demonstrate the same, you can see I'm passing the message here. You are seeing this thanks to JavaScript. This is coming to here, the flow, and the ID which are accessing the HTML element, that value will be assigned here, and same. Just what I'm calling the function with an parameter. And also you can also what in the case if you want to pass multiple parameters, so just we have to mention comma here, and whatever your the parameter, and hence same comma and one more variable. So this is the way you can pass multiple parameters in the function call and function definition. Moving on further, since I explained you passing multiple data to functions, I'll jump directly to the demo part. That is the example. You can see I have one parameter here, and comma, and single or double quote, you can use one more value. So this I am using one for this and one for this, same, and the rest of all is same. Here then just I'm appending multiple values to this divs. And one more, suppose sir, if I want to access the this div, that this, you can write this statement same and just make here 2, that is this 2. Moving on further, this just I've written all the wordings for explanation which I explained you. Next, returning data to function. Simple. If you want to return something, you have to just write the return keyword. To demonstrate with an example, I have a button here, on click I am calling the function, the ID I am calculating the the sum. Here I am calling one more function. You can see I am calling a function within function, so this becomes also a function with a function, also return the function. This flows goes here, the value is going here 6 and 6, and function is going here, operand, this is coming as 6 6, return operand 1 plus 2, that is 6 plus 6 is 2, it returns here, and whatever the values here is happening to here. So this is the way you call the return statement, also the function with the function. Moving on further, to demonstrate, this is the output. If you click on this, you get the value. The 6 plus 6 is coming from this static. Okay, moving on further, working with HTML controls in PHP. Okay, this I will be talking in the next few videos. So basically you have learned the functions, how to basically how to use the JavaScript, the syntax, the functions, the function call, the return types, and so on. So just go through this document. I'll share it you in the WhatsApp group. Any doubts, anything, just message me, and thank you for